Welcome everybody to the seasonal diet, eating what our ancestors ate, when they ate it, like we were evolved to do. A little different video for you here today. We're speaking about a pagan holiday. The reason I'm doing it here instead of on my other channel is because this holiday actually has more to do with cooking and eating than any real pagan spirituality. But the pagan elements are still there in this holiday right about this time, of course. That's why I put this on my pagan calendar, like you see back there, that many of you have. So, you all know Mardi Gras, you all know Carnival, you all know in Germany, Fasching, in Scandinavia it would be called Fastelavn, or as Vegard Solheim calls it, Helhester. All these winter holidays in late February at this time in the late winter are related. Fat Tuesday, fasting for Lent is starting. All these things are supposedly Christian origin holidays, right? You know all these, but as you're going to see in this video, all these holidays go back way before Christianity even started. So, first thing we're talking about is the fattening up and the fasting in the diet. So no matter where you are, Carnival in Brazil, Mardi Gras in Louisiana, Fasching in Germany, or wherever else you are in any European-derived kind of tradition, this period, usually about 7 days, is just a massive party and pigging out. We are fattening up at this time of year because we are about to fast for the next period of the year. Intermittent fasting, calorie-restricted diet, no meat, that kind of thing, depending on the tradition. Is this Christian? Is it fasting for Jesus just before Easter? No, fasting at this time of year has actually origins long before Christianity. Fasting was actually documented among the pagans in Francia, Germany area in the 4th, 5th, and 6th centuries when Christianity was first being introduced to the area, and the records were saying then already that pagans were fasting completely independent of Christianity. They were fasting for health reasons, they were fasting to the moon, and they were fasting for various spiritual and prophetic practices. Not very Christian, as you can see. That and the fact that any rural community in Europe, in European history, was fasting at this time anyway. They did intermittent fasting, and they didn't call it that back then, but they laid off the foods for a certain time of the day. Especially, they laid off the meat in this next coming season. The reason is simple, because there wasn't much other food around. Nothing grows in the winter in the north of Europe. So all we had to eat was the preserved items, which were running low on stock at this time, especially if we've been doing a lot of feasting and hosting guests the whole winter. But also, we had just taken care of our livestock for the whole winter. We've taken care of them, supported them. It doesn't make much sense to be slaughtering them now when we're getting close to the spring and it's soon time to be turning them out and they can graze themselves and be completely self-sufficient. So this period of little meat and general fasting or calorie deficit is coming at this time of year that we're approaching now. But we have one more chance to pack on a bit of fluff for these next 7 days before the fasting begins. This is what the parties all revolve around. Plenty of fatty food, plenty of pork. We find a lot of these in these typical winter dishes at the time. Sausages, bacon, lots of fried foods too. And of course, lots of cakes and sweets and those kind of things. Mardi Gras has their king cake, Carnival has the donuts and pastries, the German Fasching has their Kämpfen, Scandinavia we have Fastelavnsbollar, and much more things depending on where you're from and where the tradition is. This is the only time of year that I really don't care about the sugar intake and all the fatty foods we're eating. So these 7 days, depending on how you celebrate. If you're pagan, the celebrations would be starting on the new moon, which is today actually, the 20th of February, and then 7 days of partying and pigging out, and then the fasting starts. Oh, that's good. These are Nuremberger sausages that I got from a German market the other day, and that is also in the ancestral diet. Next traditions, now we get into a little bit more of the celebrations and away from the diet. In Germany, at this time for Fasching, we have the Narrenruf, which is a local greeting. Check your area because you might have one, and that's how you should be greeting everyone with this in the next 7 days. Next is the masks and costumes that you see at this time of year. We have it all over in European tradition if we go back far enough, but the Carnival traditions in Brazil actually is the one that has preserved this the longest, but there's also these traditions in the south of Europe like Italy and Spain too. And in the oldest times that we have records of, it would be traditional to wear like a bird's mask or a bear or a wolf, interestingly enough. Next, it has been tradition in all of the north of Europe to mock the rulers and kings and clergy at this time. So while we are masked up, living our best life, eating, drinking, partying, it was tradition to mock and sing songs and make plays and those kinds of things, making fun of the rulers and the church officials of the time. Again, this doesn't sound a very Christian thing. Final one, we actually find this in the Scandinavian tradition, the folk tradition from rural villages all the way up to the 18 and 1900s. Now is the time where you take your bed sheets, you bring them outside the house, you hang them up, you hang them out in the sun, in the elements, and the idea is that this rinses off the winter spirits from the bed sheets and welcomes the spring spirits, the summer spirits. Again, this doesn't sound very Christian, does it? So these are some of the most ancient celebrations we have, even though a lot of them, records of them come from the folk tradition just a few hundred years ago, but this is definitely things that has lasted much longer than that. So believe whatever you want, follow the traditions if you want, celebrate, have fun, but I cannot in good conscience say that you should be eating like this, all these fatty foods and all these sugars. Your doctors won't like that. As a matter of fact, my doctor will probably slap me if he sees this video, so I don't recommend eating like this, but at least I will follow our ancestral traditions, and these next 7 days I'm going to eat whatever the heck I want and drink whatever the heck I want. So that's just me. Let me know, do you guys have any celebrations, any traditions, any plans, any recipes this time of year? Let us all know.